video. There we are.
Perfect.
How are you? Very nice to meet you. Well, I know Marcello, but I don't. Thank you again, Lisa, for giving the opportunity to talk to you as well. And I wanted to tell you that I know Marcello for a year now, and he's one of the nicest persons you ever meet in your life. Number one. Number two.
He has his good and bad days. Let me leave it there.
Yeah. Well, like everybody has good days and bad days. You know, it's part of being human.
How do you say that in Spanish?
My Dr. Jekyll, she knows my height.
That's right. Part of being human.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, it's lovely to meet.
Same here. I listened to the album again many times, Exaudia, and it's a masterpiece.
Well,
it both. It takes two to tango, they say in Argentina. Lisa.
Now, what happened was with Exaudia, Marcello had this concept, and he had some vocals that I'd done over the years that we've done through works together, and he gathered them up and wrote this extraordinary music and put the vocals into them. And I sent me some things, and then I sang, and then he took them and he molded and sculptured the work, and then he made these amazing videos.
They're amazing. Some of them have been seen by 750,000 people, right? 750,000. That's the images are very, very powerful. Feel free to elaborate, Marcello.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's Lisa's version of our collaboration. In my opinion, Lisa's one of the greatest composers, singers of our time. So when she bestowed her incredible art into these pieces, they became something incredible. So, I mean, her melodies, the way that I've been spending some time here in her estate here in Victoria, and seen her walk in the room, never listen to one piece of music, and just sit there and compose on top of this music that she's never heard before, and nail it on the first try with the most incredible writing. And I keep telling her, you're one of the greatest artists, composers of our time, but she doesn't believe me. So,
nobody will deny that. I agree with that statement.
We all agree with you.
Yeah. So I've been listening to music, Lisa, I'm 60. So began listening to music with my dad when I was 5 years old. So that's 55 years ago. I was born in Chile, and as you know, and I came to the United States to study, and I listen, 2 hours a day from the last 50 years or so. And your voice, your work, Exaudia, the stuff that you did with Ted Candence, and so on and so forth, with Hans Zimmer and many others, is amazing. You are a gift of God. If God exists, I don't know, but you are you are a gift in many ways.
I'm sure God exists, and I hope he's a bit better than my singing.
She's a drop of heaven. This is a drop of heaven.
Yeah. Anyway, very kind. Thank you. Look, it's a legacy of work, isn't it? It's how we communicate, we respond to reality. We're living in a blessed situation, really, where we decide that we're going to walk away from the normality, let's say, of life, and walk into poetry and step over some lines and step over some boundaries to see how we can contribute something that wakes up the human heart and allows it to stay inspired. Really, as artists, that's what we do. We're just constantly keeping people awake, and so that they don't fall into the horror of mediocrity and boredom and depression, that there's always something that makes them feel alive and hopeful. And even if it's to remember their worst memories or, the things that hurt their hearts most, but if they can be walked through that with music and paintings and poetry, so that in some way it's put into a place where they're able to heal. I've always described us as nurses of the universe. It might be a bit arrogant, but I think that's what we really set out to do. We set out to be the nurses of the universe. Would you agree, Marcello?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the work that I do is very methodic, but you put love into it. And I'm not trying to sound cliche by saying that, but you wake up every morning and you have that routine where you you commune with this thing that you love, and you keep polishing it and perfecting it every single day, you know. And that's why I love working with Lisa's voices, because I get to work with such incredible sculptures that I can fine tune, and the emotion she puts behind the writing, I mean, it's extraordinary. So all of a sudden, it's like I'm able to create these recordings that she can create on these canvases, and they both come together so beautifully. And then I get to spend time on the production end, you know, chiseling every single note and making it as beautiful as I possibly can within my own human limitations and within what's available to me. And it's, you know, I mean, our music, I think on Exaudia, I kept thinking of the idea of perfume. You know, I know I don't want to sound cliche again, but music had, like, you know, when you listen to When the Light of Morning Comes and you start to hear those cellos, and then Lisa's voice comes in, and those synthesizer pads come in. It's almost like a perfume. Yeah, you know, it's like a perfume. It's like an essence. You walk, you know, Lisa has these extraordinary gardens in her home. And so I've had the pleasure of walking through them and getting inspired in these last few weeks I've spent in her estate. And I walk through these trees. There's these tunnels of trees, and you walk through them, and I think it's almost like an extension, a physical extension of the work of Exaudia. You know, it's because you smell things, and you hear these wonderful birds, and you hear the noise of animals running around, and I think Exaudia is almost like a musical expression of all that, you know, of who she is as an artist, and you know, and we're trying to bring this vibration to this reality that's, you know, in the state of condition that we are in as human beings. You know, now with the technology, the advent of technology, we can bring these things to become a visceral experience for the viewer. It's more than just music now. It's an experience.
Absolutely.
You know?
And for me, it's like I'm with the crazy world that we live in, with Ukraine, and now for over a year, nobody can stop these guys. It's like a message of hope, if you will, Exaudia, at least for me. Music can bring so much happiness to people all over the world, whether you are in China or in the United States, in Africa, this condition, that condition. So music can bring happiness to people. And the two of you have been working together for many, many years, but, you know, from Samsara, from Inside, from Departure, Antedium, and so forth. So you know, guys, you know each other very, very well. What's the motivation come from for the two of you to keep on working together and keep on creating great work? And so
I think it's called masochism.
Actually, for me, it's beauty. Bringing some, you know, Lisa's work is so, it's so, there's so much beauty in it, you know, and it's very powerful. So my challenge is always, every time I work with her, I always see the end result in my head, and I fall in love with the end result, and it's not always easy to get there, and it's sometimes quite painful. But the end result is what keeps me coming back and saying, you know what, I see this end result, you know, and I think that end result, and you know, and I'm grateful because she goes on that journey with me. She really goes on that. There's times where I sometimes wonder, my God, this woman's is going to strangle me. But she goes on that journey with me, and then at the end of it, when she sees the end result, because she trusts me, and that trust means a lot to me. It really means a lot to me. And then at the end of the day, when the result is there, for example, the videos and all that, she gave me free reign. I mean, such free reign that I'm grateful for.
Exactly, and it's entirely Marcello's project, and that's why I try, you know, against his resistance, I try to leave him alone so that he can write. And then when the time comes for me to go in and add something, my singing, then I have to know that it's absolutely a ripe moment, because I don't want to go in there and start pushing this work into a different direction. He's already discovered where he needs the piece to be. So what I'm doing is I'm simply unlocking what's already in there, but putting it into a narrative that can be expressed in a different aesthetic.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Because it's already in there. If you listen to the music without singing, it's equally as strong. If you listen to it with singing, in some way, it becomes like the light on a lake. It's just that the light has changed slightly, and it might be sunset or sunrise, or but somehow it's altered the light. Fragment, only in a very transient way, because each time you listen to a piece of music, you hear it differently. You mentioned God before, and when Marcello was saying earlier that he acts out of love, of course, love is painful. Love hurts. It's the old cliche, but it's so true. And anything we do, we bring in the presence of something, omnipresent, which is, I call love God. God is, well, it's in the Bible that if you love God, if you know love, you know God, because God is love. So it keeps everything very pure and very simple. Of the reason why otherwise, why would we be motivated to do these things that promise nothing? They promise nothing. It's not like you wake up in the morning, you go to pack shelves at a supermarket, which would be great fun, and no one's saying anything against that, and you get paid at the end of the week. That's not our lives. We live on the edge of the precipice when it comes to, are we going to unlock this in the most sincere way? And we guard that like animals, and we fight because we don't want to in any way deliver something into another human heart that isn't in its purest form. You understand? So
I do, yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's like holding a surgeon's knife, and it's life and death for us because we live in the abstract. We don't live a normal life, unfortunately. I mean, we try to. I do. I mean, I want to live a normal life. I just want a simple life. When I walk in there and say, you ready? You got the seat right? Have you got that right? Okay, I'm singing. I'm doing it once and I'm out. Okay, because I've got other things to do. I need to feed animals. I've got dinner to make, things, washing to do and stuff.
People to see.
And Marcello gets upset because he goes, well, you should be in here with me. Why? I don't need to be in there. He's writing this music. All I do is I go to unlock the inner transience of what is already inside, and I put it into a form that it can be another layer that, as I've expressed, is the light on the lake. That's pretty much it. Or it could be the dark bit down below the lake. I don't know, however you want to see it.
And what goes with that is also as artists, we take every chance. We take the greatest risks of continuing to do this work at times, even though there's challenges that come against us, to be able to continue to move forward. I mean, as artists, that's part of the lifestyle, which is why it's such an interesting dynamic, because there's times where you'll take every single risk to finish a project without having the backing or the support that you think you're going to get. And you're thinking, you know what, I don't care what happens afterwards, but this is going to come into the world.
That's so true. There's an old saying about artists that they're either organizing a dinner party or they're thinking about how they're going to commit suicide. It's between we live between those two realms.
Well, that for me was the motivation for creating this podcast and interviewing and stuff like that, Lisa. When I started 2 years ago during the pandemic, I have a lot of music, and I thought, well, musicians are not touring. I want to start calling people, and it was hard at the beginning, but the motivation for me is to create a musical legacy for future generation. I've been very lucky in my life that I have interviewed a lot of famous people, and I don't do that for myself. I mean, this interview, this conversation can be watched by thousands of people. I'm not doing that for me. I have no interest of being famous or for my ego, nothing like that. Is try to capture a moment for artistic purposes, upload the interview to a Facebook or a YouTube channel where a lot of people are going to be benefited from this stuff. And I told Marcello many times, if the radios or the YouTube channel generate any profit, every single penny is going to be donated. I don't need the money. I do what I do because I have my day job. I'm a computer scientist, and I do what I do because music has given me so much satisfaction, and talking to people and getting to know you, and it's beautiful. I don't know where music come from, have no idea, but it's as I said before, it has given me so much satisfaction in my life. That's the only way I can put it. And the two of you are unique. You have good chemistry, good days and bad days like everybody else. I'm a human too. I have good days as well. But you have more days than bad days, I suppose. And the two of you collaborated together and arguing, and I don't like this, I don't like that.
It's part of the creative process.
Huh?
There's a lot. Lisa was speaking. We were talking last night, and Lisa said something very interesting that really resonates with me, and I've also felt this. That she says, as artists, especially an artist like Lisa Gerrard, there's an electromagnetic atmosphere in her presence, in all of ours, and so when you're creating, this electromagnetic presence starts to become more active, and so ideas start flying out, and commitments, and the idea, you become passionate about something you've done and I learned a lot of this in the film industry, actually, when I worked on scores with certain directors, that I was very passionate about what I was doing. And then when they would come over and they would completely dismantle what I had done, at many times I discovered some of these directors that had no idea what music was, ended up making my scores better. Because I opened up and said, you know what? Okay, I have to go along with what this creative is saying, and then I would discover that by letting go and trying something new that I was so against it, all of a sudden I discovered that my work became better. Okay. So that electrical component when I'm working with Lisa, sometimes we get very passionate, but then I acknowledge the fact that she's passionate because she's so concerned about not destroying something so precious that she's created. And I feel the same way. So, and as a result of all that, when you said that music brings joy to people, it brings joy to people. But in today's day and age, I think music should also bring peace to people. I've read a lot of comments on Lisa's tracks. I go online and I rejoice in her work, not just the stuff we do together, but I listen to tracks that she's done with other artists, and I read the comments. And you read the comments where there's fans that say, wow, I was in a very dark place in my life, and one day I discovered this song, and it was Lisa Gerrard, and she's given me so much throughout the years. There's a lot to be said for that. There's a lot to be said for that. And she's risked so much and fought so much for her work, and people, the result of that is that. And there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard work and dedication, and everybody needs to do somewhere. I have the opportunity to interview Peter Ulrich, Lisa, and I'm becoming his friend, and he mentioned many times how difficult it was for the three of you with Brendan, and going to step 1 to step 2 to step 3, and it's hard work and dedication. That's what it's about, I suppose, right? If everything was easy, then what will be the point of doing anything, right?
I know, it's the same old story, isn't it, where you sort of go, never again, and yet you're back there. It is who we are as people, and I don't think that we're unique from other human beings. I just think that part of the process of doing this work is unlocking the ability in other human beings to live in their dreams and their imaginations. Absolutely. And do things the way we do. That we're not just designed to live in this terrible box, that we are expressively, beautiful, imaginatively human beings that can live in our dreams and share our dreams and create a sanctuary, a sanctum for others to be in their darkest hour or in their most wonderful hour. It's a way of unlocking the emotional pathways. And that's the thing with music, is that it's amazing. It has such a powerful ability to put you right in a place at a certain time.
Absolutely.
I remember when I went ice skating in this ice skating ring, and they were playing music from the 70s. It would have been the early 70s. And one song was a Steve Miller song called The Joker.
Oh, yeah.
I think it might have been late 70s. But whenever I hear that song, I can smell the ice.
Yeah.
I can smell that, and the sort of the dank kind of environment of all these, kind of guys skating around, looking, trying to look amazing. And you become overwhelmed by this memory.
Mm.
And it's that piece of music that's led you there. It also leads me to my baby brother, Mark, when I know he liked that band. And if I hear that song, if I'm in the supermarket or whatever, and I hear it come on, I'm totally and utterly transfixed. And that's the power that music has. And I have no idea how it got to get so deep inside of us. We can't explain where it comes from. We can talk all day long to you, and you're fabulous to be interested. There is no explanation. It's like it's already there. And all we're doing is plucking it out of the ether intact.
Yeah.
We're not manipulating it
nobody, as far as I know, nobody knows how memory works. And there are different layers, right? So when you bring that memory to Joker and Steve Miller Band, you can recreate the smell and the music and emotion and bring back memories and so forth. It's unbelievable because it is stored somewhere, but nobody have explained nowadays how that works. The person who ever figured out how memory works will be receiving the Nobel Prize on the spot, because nobody knows how that works.
That's right. You can go back to a beach that you were there at 8 years old. Now the foliage, trees have grown, there's a bench there, there's a building there.
Right.
You'll know you're in the same place.
Right. And
yet somehow our memory, and it's almost like this transient, the one thing I've always thought about music, in a way, singing, is, when you sometimes go, you might go to a dress shop or something and they have like a mirror, and the mirror sits in a way so there's like millions of mirrors and you can't see the end of it. And you don't see where it's going. It's almost like the singing comes from the opposite place, like millions of mirrors coming in the opposite direction. But you don't know where it's coming from, and you place it into this last reflection. It gets placed into the last reflection. But and I don't know. I have no idea. And do you know what? I don't even care. All I know is that when we go and do this work, if Marcello writes something, and I completely trust his work, if he writes something and I know he does it out of absolute pure dedication, surrender, he stands naked before whatever he's doing. He's completely without sorcery. There's no sorcery there. And I trust that. So I know immediately if I go into that room, he's going to let me do exactly the same thing, to walk side by side with him without any kind of sorcery, without ego. We're just there to unlock what is.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what is amazing. And when I look at the videos that he's made, and I think of one of my favorite moments is the girl in the boy pushing the girl in the supermarket trolley.
Yep.
And and I know it's probably not. And then the other one is the girl when she leans forward and, and I see her touch her hair. And then the tips of the ballet shoes. It's almost like that kind of abstract that is the music. And if you take away all the other images and you're just left with these finite absolutes, that's what music is. It's a finite absolute that 1 second after you've heard the piece, you've forgotten, and you have to go back and hear it again. It's almost like it's linked to another reality that we have to create to remind us that there are other realities, that there is something else, that it's not just here. You know, that we unlock these mechanisms within us that are capable of dying and having another life somewhere else. We don't know where that is, but that our life tissue moves on. And it's almost like an unlocking mechanism. I mean, you've only got to look into religiosities and all that kind of thing. I'm not totally into religion. I do love God very much, but I don't like religion. But it's always got music and incense and, you know, there's always some, so that people get to, when they pray, that in some way it allows them to surrender and reminds them that there's something that is there that isn't now. Or it is now, but it isn't clearly now.
Yeah.
We have to
absolutely.
It's like a massage, like a spiritual, not a spiritual, I don't want to use that word, but like a soulful massage.
Yeah.
It massages your soul so that you remember that it's not just about, you know, getting in the car and picking up children from school, which is absolutely so important.
Yeah.
But there's a side of us that is transcendental, and that we are caught between these different realities when we dream, when we're asleep, and when we're awake we can dream, and we dream when we're awake with music and poetry and art and loving each other, sex, you know, touching each other, having that physical connection. We escape the horror of everyday patterns. And we start to remember that we have something so remarkable about us and in us and between us. And music becomes that communal tissue that brings us together, that we can all, you know.
It's beautiful to be a human being, and it's beautiful to be alive, you know, with the pros and cons, the richness and poorness and fight and this and that. Still being able to breathe, you know, go outside, see the sun, and listen to good music, drink a glass of wine or whatever, go for a walk, you know. It's a beautiful. We are so gifted to be human beings, you know, to have the experience to.
Let's keep that thought alive. It's so important. That positive energy, it's just gone out there.
Yep.
And that's what we need to send out, lots of positive energy. And a lot of the stuff with the music, especially, I think, I can't speak for Marcello with his music. I know how it affects me. It affects me in a very positive way. It's very clear. I know exactly what to do when I hear it. It's so present and so transparent in its sincerity that you never have to doubt it.
You know, it's interesting because I've been working with Lisa for quite some time, and I've had people ask me, how is it to be in a room with Lisa Gerrard? Because I had one gentleman who said, I'd love to be a fly on the wall when Lisa sung some of these things. Like, for example, when we worked with Sarah and she sang on the track Geisha, or, you know, some of the work we've done together. And it's interesting because she'll hear a piece of music and she instantly needs the microphone on. And she has the idea, and it slips sometimes. She goes, but if she doesn't have that moment, and she's so clear, and she does it so perfectly on the first take, it's an extraordinary. I don't know how to say it. I mean, it's like a freak of nature. That, you know, you've got a singer that actually has never heard a piece of music and sings it perfectly on the first take.
It's a freak of nature. Yeah.
It's gone.
No, I think all singers can do this.